Hello, critics, non-critics, and friends. Welcome to the Film Optix podcast, where we take a glance into comic book movies, blockbusters, indie films, and everything in between. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Evan. And today, we're going to be taking a trip down to Greenland and Iceland to talk about the Northman.
I'm going to try.
Oh man. But yes, apologize for that silly antic there. But yes, we are talking about Robert Eggers' latest film titled The Northman. Very, very excited to get into this one. It's been on one of my anticipated movies of 2022 for the longest time, but it's finally here. It is finally here, and this one kind of came out of nowhere. I'm not a big Robert Eggers fan when it comes to The Witch. I actually haven't seen that one, but I saw The Lighthouse, and I was not a fan. But I believe Devin has seen The Witch, and
The Witch,
Baba Yaga, The Witch, but he has not seen The Lighthouse. But Devin, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm feeling like I want some revenge.
Some revenge?
Yes.
I'm feeling like I can use a little bit of revenge myself. I can use a lot of revenge.
I want revenge on the weekend for it ending. How dare it end?
I was just gonna say the same thing. Honestly, it's too short. Please bring back 3, or I don't even know if 3-day weekends have ever really been a normal thing, but they need to. Because there's not enough time in the day. It's crazy stuff. We
just get that 4-day, 10-hour work weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if only. I mean, we can't even properly avenge our father's death and save our mother during a 2-day weekend. It's just darn near impossible.
It's not possible.
Not possible at all. And before we begin today's episode, you can listen to our podcast on podcast platforms around the internet. And if you are a new or seasoned listener to the show, we would love to hear from you guys. Follow us on Instagram and follow us on Twitter at FilmOptix, or email us at filmoptix@gmail.com for any movie related questions. Again, that is Optix with an X, because we're going to be axing off some heads here in a bit. But so you had a good weekend, kind of just chill, Devin, just hanging out. And
yeah, super chill.
Yeah, super chill. You watch, did you start watching Severance yet?
I have not yet. I started watching The Ultimatum, what is
that?
An awful reality TV show on Netflix. It's just the trashiest, but I just got to eat it up. I don't know.
It's like a dumpster fire. You can't help but look away. Yeah. It's kind of like Tiger King in a way, where it's like, wow, this is clearly terrible, but I can't not look away. So, for me, I've been, just chugging along some Attack on Titan. Haven't really watched too much else. I watched a little bit of The Batman on HBO Max earlier today when I was like folding laundry, just kind of had it on in the background. Waiting on the Blu-ray to come, but yeah. Oh my gosh, that actually reminds me, I have to change the address on my Blu-ray.
There's a lot of little things you'll notice when you move that you have to change the address for.
The main thing I've actually already changed is Amazon, first and foremost, of course. That is the numero uno type thing. But yeah, wow, I actually just reminded myself of that. So yeah, it sucks when you're moving, and I mean, whether you're moving, across the state, across, the other side of town, or if you're, moving to Iceland, as we see in this new venture. But Devin, enough of the antics and going ons here. We've been chatting here for a bit. I do apologize. I'm a little tired today. I do apologize, guys. It was just a very, very long weekend. As we kind of mentioned, I am moving, so that is a lot. It takes a lot out of you for sure. Moving is probably one of the worst things you'll ever have to do in your life. And
yeah, way worse than being a Viking.
Yeah,
Viking stuff's easy.
Oh yeah, I mean, you're pillaging. You're taking things that that aren't yours. But it seems like the Viking life is, they're kind of like pirates, but they're like land pirates, if that makes any sense.
But they also have ships.
They do have ships. They do. I mean, and rowing and the synchronicity there, which is really, really nice. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this introduction to the Northman.
Why would he stow away to such a hellish place?
To find what was stolen from me.
And what is that?
The kingdom.
You must choose between kindness for your kin or hate for your enemies.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back with our Northman review here on the podcast, doing our analysis, our deep dive, secrets and Easter eggs and all that jazz here on our Northman review, which is going to be a lot of fun. So if you're new to the show, this is usually how we break everything down. First thing we'll do is go through our initial reaction, which is usually our non-spoiler section for those who have not seen the movie. Then we get into spoilers. Then we'll kind of talk about some Easter eggs here or there that we've noticed. And then we get into our final thoughts. And then we get into our ratings. And then we bid you adieu until the next episode. So, Devin, I'm actually going to have you go first because I'm very interested to see or hear, what your thoughts were on the Northman. Being that we've only technically seen 2 Robert Eggers movies, but you've seen The Witch. And I've seen The Lighthouse, but now we've both seen The Northman. So take it away.
Yeah, I remember seeing the Witch when it first came out in college. I went to go see it with a group of friends, and we all were just kind of not a fan afterwards. It just didn't really connect with any of us. Especially, it just was very, very off kilter and strange for a normal horror movie. But you could definitely see he had some talent in his directing and his vision, and it definitely carries forward here because this is an epic, like literal and figuratively, just an epic movie throughout. I didn't really know what to expect because, as you know, I'm not a big fan of period pieces in general, and this is like the ultimate period piece. I was actually watching a video before this, an interview with Robert Eggers and Alexander Skarsgård, and he said it's the most historically accurate Viking movie ever made.
Wow!
And you can definitely believe that just based on all the visuals and everything in this movie. Like, they definitely took their time. They researched everything and made sure it all is very historically accurate, which I'm sure it's very good news for a lot of people, like Jared.
Oh, Jared.
Like a couple weeks ago, he was like, I wonder where this movie takes place. And I was like, I'm guessing it's the North.
The King of the North. I mean, he could be the King of the North, south of the Wall, or just, Winterfell itself. No, we're talking the King. I do agree. When I've only seen the trailer maybe once or twice. The trailer is very trippy. Like, honestly, I feel like a lot of people would just mistake this for like an A24 movie, which I can't blame them because just based off the trailer itself.
Wasn't Lighthouse A24?
Lighthouse was, yes. Lighthouse was A24.
I'm surprised this wasn't.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't either. But I do have to echo what you were saying. I actually adore how historically accurate this movie was. And, when I got to see a day before it hit theater, I think it was on a Wednesday night. Got a few nice little free t-shirts there for it as well, which is actually kind of cool. But I kind of just said, in my Letterboxd initial reaction that, the Northman is incredible. And it pretty much gave me everything I wanted out of this, Scandinavian Viking / version of Hamlet in a way. It's loaded with...
Or Lion King, which is what Lion King got their idea from. It just keeps moving forward.
It's great because, it's the premise is there, like the basic premise is there, the son of a,
it's a very simple setup. It's not hard to follow. That's one thing I was worried about because I was hearing some people complain about it being too much into the Norse mythology. And I didn't really find any issues with that. It was very easy to follow. There was not any part I was confused about.
I agree. Because that's like saying, the new God of War for PS4, it's just too much in the Norse mythology. Well, that's literally what it is.
Like even Ken Jack from Lights Camera Barstool, he even wrote an article about the different parts of Norse mythology. I keep saying North of Norse mythology that you could study up on before watching the movie, because he was hearing a lot of people complaining about not understanding different parts of the lore, but I didn't really see any parts where you would be lost. Unlike Dune, this actually
Oh my!
was welcoming.
Here we go.
To new viewers.
You know what? You know, a lot of people say that about Eternals. They say that they actually prefer Dune over Eternals, but I still stand by. I think the Eternals did a better job of introducing characters. For Dune, I can understand people saying that for Dune because, you know, there's all these books for Dune, and, you know, there's the first book, which is actually just called Dune, that kind of starts off the entire journey. But for the Northman, I mean, I agree. Like, I don't think you even really need to know much about Norse mythology. I know a little bit about it, just from, you know, I was really big into like Greek mythology when I was like in high school and college, and just learning about, you know, different gods and different cultures. I just thought it was pretty cool. And this movie is just loaded with it. It kept me on my toes throughout the entire time. I feel like it could have been maybe 10 minutes shorter, but I mean, that is what it is. I mean, the action, the editing, the performances alone are just phenomenal.
Yeah, I think the best way to describe this movie, feel free to bleep me out, but this movie, like, that's all you need to hear.
It does. Like, and I mean, so did you see The Green Knight by chance? I'm not sure if you did.
I did not end up seeing it.
See, I don't see, like, if this movie was like The Green Knight, I don't think you would have liked The Green Knight, because The Green Knight is based off of a poem. And I mean, it's an interesting premise, but that movie technically has multiple endings, and it has a very, you know, leaving up to your imagination type ending, where, you know, you can kind of guess or imagine what the ending could be or what it could mean itself. Because
not much imagination with this one.
There isn't.
The exact ending.
Well, I guess, like, what I've noticed, like, when The Green Knight first came out, the trailer made it seem like it was this, you know, huge, like, action adventure type story, much like The Northman, which we're talking about today. But it didn't really have a lot of that. I mean, there was a journey that the main character went on, but it was more of like tests. That's the main character in The Green Knights.
Alexander Skarsgård mentioned that when he was like creating or like trying to make this movie happen, he just mentioned that it's a family drama, like, at the core of it.
It really is.
It's all about a family that has issues, and it's a family drama. And he said he wanted to combine a family drama, which is usually a closer knit, like, not much like change of setting or scenery. It's just kind of usually a one setting type of story, but he wanted to make an epic where you're traveling across different continents, and it's just an epic revenge tale. So he just wanted to combine those two things.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they did.
So when do you think the Northman's going to join the Avengers? He is the ultimate Avenger, I will say.
He did avenge.
But yeah, so I've been noticing a lot throughout the week that, I mean, on Rotten Tomatoes at least, the critics' tomato meter right now is sitting at 89%, which is phenomenal for Robert Eggers. And I actually have to give him props, because I read a piece of an article where he said he doesn't like creating movies in present time, like, at all. Like, he will not.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, which is,
it's already depressing enough for him.
I mean, I like his take on that, just because I feel like there is so much more you can do with, like, period pieces, and, you know, without having, like, technology kind of not necessarily ruining the plot, but trying to find ways to write a good story like this, where it's like, I mean, if technology was, like, you know, back in this day and age, then like so much would have been, you know, just spoiled outright. But the audience score for The Northman right now is sitting at 67%. I thought it was going to be around maybe at least 75, but I mean, it is what it is. It's not too far off.
Could you imagine somebody live tweeting that rugby match thing they had?
Wait, what?
Imagine somebody like,
oh yeah,
having a phone and live tweeting that weird rugby death match.
It was like a mix between rugby and like golf, or like cricket in a way, kind of, sort of. But I mean, not only do they mention, you know, this whole story is just dripping with Norse mythology, but they do mention a bit of Christianity in here as well. I'm not sure if you caught that through a few scenes of the dialogue there, but I mean, I love this Avenge tale. It really kind of just shows how much pride can get in the way. Definitely, obviously having the Hamlet, Lion King thing, when it comes to like Ethan Hawke, like he just has this golden mane, and I'm like,
Ethan Hawke was so good.
Yeah, he was. But
he was in it very briefly, but
very kind of Mufasa-esque for a second. Like,
yes.
I was like, that's Mufasa. And then I saw his uncle. I'm like, okay, this is Scar 100%. Like he's got the black hair, jealous of the the older sibling and whatnot. But I really just like this tale of revenge. It's sad, but because it is a very, very sad story, very depressing, but it was kind of uplifting in a way when it came to certain parts. But I mean, just the action was just like, obviously this is rated R, so do not take your kids to go see this. But I just loved how everything, like I felt like I was actually there, and the score,
it's just so brutal and raw, and you just feel it.
And it's like, everyone's, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, I get it. Like some people aren't going to like it, but I'm very surprised that I'm actually surprised that the general audience isn't liking this as much as I thought, because honestly, I feel like this is everything the Green Knight could have been. I mean, I like the Green Knight story. Personally, I do, but I do feel like it could have used, a little bit more action, but like with the Northman, like there's a lot of action in this, there's betrayal, there's love, there's actually a lot of funny moments in this as well. Was
not expecting that in the beginning.
I was not expecting that at all. But
it actually threw me off. I was like, oh boy, where's this going?
But the first time I saw it, because I saw it twice, my audience ate it up. The second time, like it was like mid-afternoon on a Saturday. There was maybe 10 people in, but people still liked it. Nobody left the theater, which is really good. I think the movie it kind of reminded me the most of is like 1917, just kind of like that raw, like historical, loosely based off of a real story. Like Amleth is like a real character from I think it was Icelandic story. Oh no, a Scandinavian like folk tale. Okay, yeah. Even like Anya Taylor-Joy, Skarsgård.
We haven't mentioned her yet, but
yeah,
she's just amazing as always.
Yeah, this is a really stacked cast, and it just works. I didn't expect it to be this good, and it's just
Willem Dafoe's the jester. It's just perfect.
slash like soothsayer type kind of. I was like, oh my gosh, but and I do apologize. Didn't really get into this earlier, but of course this is directed and written by Robert Eggers along with Sjon. Is one of the writing credits, and I'm actually going to read the synopsis here. I know we're doing a little bit backwards today. It's like I said, it's been a long week and a long weekend, guys. But Prince Almeth is on the verge of becoming a man when his father is brutally murdered by his uncle, who kidnaps the boy's mother 2 decades later. So I didn't know it was 2 decades later, because they kind of just said years later, but obviously we know it's at least 10. Ameth is now a Viking who is on a mission to save his mother, kill his uncle, and avenge his father. And that's actually from Rotten Tomatoes. So congratulations to Rotten Tomatoes for having a clear, concise movie info / synopsis for us to read off to our lovely listeners out there. I really, really like that. But yeah, I kind of just wanted to get that out of the way. But I do feel like we're getting into spoilers, unless there was something else you wanted to mention, non-spoiler, like before we do get into that topic.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's discuss Nicole Kidman.
AMC Theaters, we make movies better. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is your first spoiler warning for The Northman again. That is your second spoiler warning for The Northman. So if you haven't seen it, don't take the kids, take your significant other, or just go to the movie by yourself and go watch it. If you're a big like history movie buff, or just love Norse mythology, I think anyone can enjoy this movie. So let's get into spoilers here. Of course, we do know that Ameth avenges his father, but gets killed in the process, which was actually very depressing to see. He was like,
but he got carried off by his Valkyrie into
Valhalla.
Yeah, so he's good. He made it.
He made it.
He died a warrior's death.
He did. I think the ending, what really got me is after. Well, I mean, okay, before he even faces his uncle Fjolnir, he kind of gets carved up a bit by by his half brother and his mother even, which we'll definitely get into that here in a second. But oh man, that was crazy. It's just I felt like I felt empathy for him because he was, with Skarsgård's character, Prince Amleth was like, he was just driven by rage and his entire life. I mean, all this was taken from him at such a young age. And, he learns a little bit of truth about his father, saying, from his mother, stating, we find out the origins of his mother being a slave as well. And kind of just all this big baggage coming up at once. And it's crazy because we don't really spend too much time with Ethan Hawke's character as the father, as the king of his kingdom. And yeah, we know so little of him, but we don't necessarily know the truth. But the only truth that we really have is from what his mother and from what his uncle has said about his father.
Yeah, that's all we know. And we just know he's coming back from some kind of pillaging elsewhere and he's returned home.
I thought it was interesting how they had it to where after, the pillaging, after, Skarsgård's becomes a man essentially.
Just rips off that guy's nose.
Yeah.
I love how they kept it like that and they kept showing him throughout because you knew he wanted revenge on that guy specifically. And he got it in such a badass way.
That was a Tyrion Lannister moment for those out there who've watched Game of Thrones. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The nose being cut off, but yeah, it's I just love how like rich this story is. It does excuse me. It does start off a little slow, but it picks up like pretty fast, and like you said, it's not a very hard concept to grasp like at all. If you've seen Hamlet, you know the premise for this, and that's all you really need to know. That's literally all you need to know. You kind of just
it's Viking Hamlet. That's what Ethan Hawke kept saying in an interview I saw. He just kept saying it's Viking Hamlet. That's all you need to know.
And like he's absolutely right because there's so many I love the twists and turns that are happening here. Where as the
main twist being that our sworn enemy Nicole Kidman is a villain in this one too.
Yeah, it was so funny where everyone, like when we were watching in the AMC the second time, the We Make Movies Better thing was playing, and then this one lady was like, "Is that?" It
was actually relevant for the first time ever.
People were like, "Is that the lady from the commercial right before?" Like, yeah, that's her. But of course, shout out to Anya Taylor-Joy. I thought she did a bang up job. Like
their relationship was pretty electric because you saw as soon as he got on that ship and he just glanced at her and she noticed, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's a thing.
They're like, hey. But Claes Bang, who plays Fjolnir, I thought he did a great job too. I wish the only thing is that I wish we would have gotten a little bit into Fjolnir's hatred for his father, but I guess we kind of get like a surface level reasoning as to.
Yeah, we don't get much background on the king and the new king. We don't get much information on them, which is kind of purposeful because they want you to see it from Amleth's perspective, right. And then as his world gets turned upside down, as he realizes these things, then so you realize them as well. Yeah,
and that's a really good point. Telling it from one person's point of view, so you're not really necessarily getting the whole story. But with Amleth, it's so. It's powerful because obviously the care that he had for his mom, but then you kind of find out that Nicole Kidman's character, it was Queen Gudrun.
She hated the king as well, apparently.
Yeah, she hated and she hated Amleth, in the process, and it was a really weird mix of emotions there.
That kiss was that was interesting.
Did you get any like any shock or any gas in your theater? Yeah. Oh, my first theater experience was amazing when I saw it with a few critics. I think it was just more of like a fan event type thing as well. They were giving out shirts out the wazoo, as I mentioned in our previous episodes. But yeah, like it was weird. Like she kept getting closer and closer. I'm like, oh, she's going to back away. I'm like, oh my God, she keeps getting closer and closer.
Just kept going.
She's like, I'm like, what do you want, woman? Like, this is the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, this is like Oedipus Rex getting into that type of thing. But can we just talk about the action and how, and not even how amazing it was, but how brutal it was. And like you said earlier, it's so raw that, you know, we see Vikings just doing the Viking things. You know, they're pillaging.
For it to end on an epic battle on a volcano, surrounded by freaking lava, like you can't think of a better Viking ending than that.
And that final fight actually lasted longer than Morbius.
and they were both naked and had to wear prosthetics to protect themselves.
When did you realize they were both naked? Because
I never saw any appendages.
Well, because like when I saw them fighting in the volcano, I was like, wait, they're not naked, are they? Yeah, they're naked. I was like, oh, okay. I guess.
Then when Hamlet's arm gets like slashed,
yeah.
Like, oh, that was brutal.
He does that panting thing where it's like he's literally just on his last leg. Like he has, you know, he's finally found his uncle. And I thought it was an interesting thing having to where, you know, 20 years later, you know, Amleth is a Viking and, you know, trapping like women and children and men inside houses and setting them on fire to, you know, learning that Fjolnir actually lost the kingdom after this huge coup with his killing his brother, and he kind of lost all that. And now, I mean, he's still like a lord in a way, but he's been subjected to this like simple farm life. And I like how, you know, the dark blade, you know, the blade that feeds, and, you know, Alexander Skarsgård, his character kind of just terrorizing this small little farm village.
Yeah, I love how like methodical and like planned out his revenge was. He wasn't just gonna go on a rampage to begin with, which is what you would expect from a berserker Viking. Like that's what he's been doing his whole life. But he was actually like methodically sat down with Anya Taylor-Joy's character, and they just kind of planned out things slowly, and then they were just terrorizing this small little farm.
I love for Anya Taylor-Joy's character. It's
Olga. Her name's Olga. The ugliest name you could ever have, and they gave it to Anya Taylor-Joy.
But it's not just Olga. It's Olga of the Birch Forest.
Yeah, she was like a witch doctor.
Yeah.
She was speaking to the trees and earth.
She was airbending there for a bit towards the end. She was like, carry me winds to the... Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
I just noticed one of the characters' names is Finner the Nose Stub. You can guess who that was.
The Tyrion Lannister of this story. Oh my gosh. Well, I say that because so in one of the episodes, Tyrion, it's like during the Battle of Blackwater Bay, Tyrion, you know, he's setting up to go to battle, and his in the book his nose actually gets chopped off, much like nose thinner here, but in the show it's just like a scar across his face itself. But yeah, that definitely gave me some Game of Thrones vibes there for sure. But yeah, actually, Skarsgård was actually a producer on this as well. Did not know that.
Yeah, I know he had a hand in developing the story and everything.
Which is nice. I like when actors and produce, you know, kind of serve within the same role. Willem Dafoe was great as always as well. But kind of just what I've been rambling on here for a while. I do apologize again, y'all. It's just been a long day. Was there anything you wanted to bring up before we get into our final thoughts?
Yeah, one more piece of trivia. As I was watching the video with Robert Eggers just describing the historical accuracy as far as the Vikings movie goes, he said the only thing that isn't accurate is the hairstyles. Because Vikings are notorious for having a very strong bowl cut. So he said they tried that on Skarsgård, and it just doesn't work. I mean, it's a bowl cut. It's going to look goofy no matter what.
Yeah.
So they went with the long hair, which obviously there were Vikings that had long hair, but it was much more prominent to have a bowl cut.
Yeah. Honestly, I was waiting for Kratos to come out of somewhere and be like...
Yeah.
Like, I'll help you, Amleth, avenging your father, because he definitely went full Kratos in this, even though Kratos originally came from Greek mythology, but I love how they kind of threw him into Norse mythology as well. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, no signs of Thor, but that's okay. I'm sure he's around there and whatnot. But,
Yeah, he's probably hanging around somewhere.
Yeah,
It's the 10th
probably.
Century.
Did you play God of War PS4?
Yeah.
You did?
Did not beat it, but I did play it.
Devin, oh Devin. So now you should go back, because now you have the raging berserker fuel after you've seen this movie and be like, I'm freaking ambulance mother. I mean, yeah.
I will avenge my father. I will save my mother. I will kill you.
Feel near.
Feel there.
I really love that. I love that line. How he just it's literally his life's goal, and
then his mom could not care less.
Nope, mom couldn't care less at all, which is it's very sad. Like, you learn all these things, and even the farms people. It's the fact that I love how Skarsgård brands himself, and he's like, I need to get in.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting him to make himself a slave in order to infiltrate it.
Yeah, I don't know why people say this story was hard to follow. It was very straightforward. I mean, if you don't like it, obviously, any listeners.
I mean, obviously, there's a lot of like North mythology, like the ravens showing up throughout. It's obviously a classic symbol of usually like death, but also just it represented his father basically, like at all times.
Yeah, and even just the kind of like a prophecy type thing. He obviously Amleth ends up dying, and Olga is pregnant. They get it on and whatnot, but she has twins. And that's, how Luke and Leia are born.
Yeah.
But she does not. I love it how it's like,
I love the visuals of the family tree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From the very beginning,
cool.
that it looks so cool.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That was pretty sweet. But yeah, let's just get into final thoughts here. I do apologize, y'all. I just wanted to cut this a little early today because your boy is tired. Tired as all get out. But, yeah, for me, final thoughts. I think we've kind of touched on a few things. I mean, I would love to have gone into this a little bit deeper, but kind of just pressed for time and whatnot. But this is my second favorite movie of the year, next to Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Batman being number 3. I mean, I think more people should go see this. Like, I mean, if you're just looking for an amazing classic, just Viking style, a Hamlet style story with a lot of blood and just action and drama. It really is a family movie.
There's a lot of complaints recently about the MCU being the only type of movie there is, and just superheroes movies in general being
I saw that
just
tweet.
overmade and there's just too much of it. But at this very moment, there are 3 incredible independent type movies out that everyone should go see, and there's nothing stopping them from seeing it. There's no other Marvel movies out. There's nothing in the immediate future that's going to stop it. You go see The Northman, you see Everything Everywhere All at Once, and you see massive talent. Like, there's just so many options out there, but people just still complain that there is nothing in cinema to watch, but there's just so much, they just ignore it.
I would agree with what you're saying there. I mean, and yeah, there was, I'm assuming you're referring back to the tweet that we saw earlier. Someone had said none of it's a picture of the Green Knight, the new Macbeth movie, The Last Duel, which came out last year, and then The Northman. And someone had tweeted saying none of them made any money, and I blame Marvel movies. And you can't. No, Marvel has nothing to do with it, because number one, it's all about how you market your film. And obviously especially with The Last Duel, a lot of, between the merger between Fox and Disney, when they kind of got engulfed by, the House of Mouse, Disney didn't really do anything for marketing or advertising for it. So of course people aren't going to go see it unless you're a Ridley Scott fan, or unless you've read the book, or if you're just a big, period piece, fantasy / middle-aged nerd like I am. The Green Knight, I thought, was advertised well, but I feel like they misguided a lot of people. I still haven't seen the tragedy of Macbeth. one day I will. I just haven't picked it up yet. But yeah, with the Northman as well, these are all pretty simple, straight stories. I mean, the only one that has a very ambiguous ending from what I've seen outside of Macbeth, because I haven't seen that one again, would probably be the Green Knight, because there's a lot of different like endings there. But no, like Devin said, like nobody's stopping you from seeing the movies you want to see. I also saw a tweet video where someone was saying that they want a they want a Marvel movie that has nothing to do with superheroes and just about like everyday life of people living within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm like, why don't you just go watch other movies? Like that's, yeah. I'm like, that is a terrible idea. Like
DC already tried that.
Yeah, DC tried. It's, I mean, I can see how on paper it sounds super interesting, but people go to see a superhero movie to watch a superhero kick some ass. And that's literally what it boils down to. They care about the character. They care about their story. I don't want to see, you know, the baseball manager of the Mets who has to rebuild the brand after the blip happens. Yeah. Like, I don't care about that. Nobody does. And that would be the complete opposite of what Marvel and or DC is trying to do. And it's just go watch other movies. There's so many other movies out there. Not every movie needs to be tied to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like this isn't a super like origin story of Thor for the Northman. It's it's Viking Hamlet, you know. It's all about Skarsgård and Nicole Kidman, you know, just kicking ass and taking names. Like I don't know. It boils my blood when people try to blame Marvel movies for the less success of other movies, where it's like they're not marketing as well, and people know these other movies are out, and you can't blame them for wanting. Like, I mean, if the Northman doesn't look interesting to someone, why would they go see it? If that type of like storytelling or if that type of period piece doesn't interest them, why would they go see it? It doesn't make any sense. Like there's been so many movies where I kind of skipped. I mean, like I was thinking about seeing Ambulance, but like I don't know. I mean, maybe one day I'll watch it, but it's just not something I'm super interested in. I'm just kind of over Michael Bay, but that's just me. But you know, everyone has different tastes. But people are crazy today, for sure. Just watch movies. It doesn't matter what kind of movie it is. You know, if you want to watch Marvel movies, superhero movies all day, that's great. But also know that there's so many other movies out there that you can watch. Not everything has to be tied to a cinematic universe. And Marvel is not to blame for indie films. I mean, indie films usually make less money anyway because they are an independent studio. But that doesn't mean that they're any less important or less good than like a superhero movie. But I don't know. Rant's over. I do apologize there, but that pretty much concludes our coverage of the Northman here. Of course, thank you, Devin, always for coming on. So, actually, no, I'm sorry, we did not get into ratings. What would you give this?
I'd go with the 91.
91, yeah. I gave it a 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. I just felt like it was just a little bit too long, but I didn't really have any issues with the story itself. I thought the editing was amazing.
The music, the score.
The score was
just, wow.
Yes.
The drums, everything. And it was all authentic Viking instruments as well.
I'm gonna blast that in the car driving into work tomorrow. Or
that's dangerous. I'm gonna speed up.
Honestly, I'm working from home, so I'll just listen to it as I walk to my computer. Get me pumped up in the shower or something, you know, get all the juices flowing, going berserk out here. But yeah, so I guess 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. I guess that equates to like a 91, 90, pretty much on the same plane as Devin. Again, if you haven't seen this movie, definitely go watch it. It really is. This really is like a true work of art, and the cinematography was just fantastic. Like, oh man, Robert Eggers, congratulations, the whole cast and crew. But what's coming up on the podcast, you might ask? We have so much coming up. Actually, I'm not entirely sure how much we have coming up. But as of right now, you can listen to us conclude our thoughts on the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, where the lovely Nicole Ackman from Next Best Picture joined us on that endeavor. You can also listen to our The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent review that is up on the podcast as well, which is always a good time. We have our Moon Knight Episode 4 review titled The Tomb out there as well, and we'll be reviewing for episode 5 and 6, the penultimate episode hitting this week, and our Everything Everywhere All at Once review is up on the podcast as well, as many others. Our entire podcast list is there for everyone to sort through as they wish. So we only ask one more thing before we go, and that is to share an episode of our podcast with a friend, whether it be your mother, your brother, your lover, whoever it may be. Make sure to share an episode of the Film Optix podcast with a movie lover in need. And we hope you guys all have a wonderful start to your week. And that's a wrap for today. Thank you all for listening. And if you enjoy the show, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay in the know. That was Devin. My name is Christian. We'll see you guys in Valhalla.